Left of the box. Well, I know it's something that you're interested in, and that
Oh,
is people's kind of religious beliefs. And
yeah. Well, yes. I'm more
Mhm.
interested in whether they have them.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not inviting people to tell me about them, like knocking on my door, tell me about. But
yeah,
anyway, yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead. I'm
Well,
sorry.
we see a lot of leftist people on here, and religion isn't really talked about, like personal religion isn't really talked about a lot. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Religious institutions, I think, are not good. They've been the center of like just atrocities around the world and restricting people and telling people what to do. So I don't believe in any sort of religious institution, but if a person wants to believe in a god or something of that sort, that's totally fine. But I don't believe, like, I actually have a very strong spiritual belief, but it's not based in any gods.
Yeah, it really is. For me, it's one of those things because I was raised Catholic, and it's one of those things that any institution can be corrupted, which means any institution has a chance of being like uncorrupted, right? And not uncorruptible, but good and genuine. Now, as soon as there's like an authority, and it's like, okay, well, I need like you know who's in charge here? Who knows the most about our religion? Oh, okay, so we defer to this guy. All right. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
it's going to get weird, right? Now it's like we have to do what somebody says. And to me, and I'm sure somebody could argue against this, but to me that right away is like a step away from the original intent. And a belief system doesn't necessarily isn't required to have a belief. You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
that where you're coming from?
Well,
Like you can read
let's
books
let's
without the
start.
library?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. So I was a child
Mm,
at one
okay.
point. It happened, and I think I was in about grade 5 or 6, and I asked the question, "Who are God's parents?" And the answer was, "He doesn't have any." And I'm like, "How is that possible? So then, where did God come from? This makes no sense." And I started to change my understanding of what I thought religion was. And the idea of a God watching all of us, controlling us, but not controlling us, but still everything good is from him or bad is like everything, like default, it's because of God. It didn't sit with me. And then in junior high, we were taught about other religions, and I started to pick apart different religions. Like, well, this part makes sense, this part makes sense, and so on and so forth. But the thing is that it wasn't until I was in high school, and I kid you not, and we were talking about, because I had some very religious friends in different faiths, and we are talking about Jesus and the whole walking on water and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, haha, but like, really, who believes that? And she's like, but I do. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, no, you're taking this literally? Like, I was just so blown away that that was the moment I found out that people were taking all of these teachings literally, whereas I always thought that they were fables to kind of teach lessons. Stories to teach lessons that nobody really took them seriously, but they took the intent of the story, like the intent of the
Yeah.
purpose behind it, as to have the meaning. And that, yes, there might be a God, but this God hasn't done things like give a book to someone or anything of that sort. There was no Son of God walking on earth. These were just stories to help build the morality through this religion. And so it blew me away because I'm like, how can you believe that this happened when we know, like, why hasn't anything like that happened since? And if something like that were to happen now, of course we would think it's fake. Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
but some people think that about the moon landing.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why
So,
haven't why hasn't that happened since? How come we didn't do
uh,
that? And it's like, well, I don't, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. But one thing is,
yeah,
a lot of people complained about the cost of it at the time.
yeah. Well,
I'm glad it hasn't happened, so let's just let it go. But to your point,
yeah. Well, there's a lot of things in life that I neither believe nor disbelieve. Yeah, sure, they could have happened. No, they couldn't have. I don't know. It has no impact on my life, so I don't put too much thought into it. Like if we went to the moon or not, sure, yeah, we did, but I don't put too much thought into it, so it doesn't matter if it turns out we didn't. So all through my teenage years and stuff like that, I started to develop my own kind of belief system, my own religion.
Oh,
Although I
here we
have
go.
a hard time, I have a hard time calling it a religion because again, it's not a structured thing. And I'm also open to
Okay.
having it changed. Like if I have concrete evidence of something else, then I'm open to changing my mind. Like this isn't something that's set in stone. Like if God were
Is
to
there
speak to me myself, like then sure.
is there any documentation? Have you written any of this down? Like,
No.
okay, gotcha. I'm just trying to see where we're at.
Well, to me, it's just like it's a personal thing. Like I don't see the need of trying to convince other people of it, but some people do find it interesting.
Hmm.
So I do believe people have what you could call a soul, but I believe that this is just a natural part of the universe, that it evolved in as a natural part of the universe for like all the billions of years of the universe, and that the souls that we have, they're not restricted to Earth, because why would they be?
Hmm.
And they're not restricted to, if there's other dimensions, why wouldn't they be there too?
Okay. Can I ask you a question about this?
Mm-hmm.
How is that different than someone believing, and I don't believe anybody walks on water or ever has, personally. How is the belief of the capacity for a soul to be independent of a body different than walking on water? I'm just curious. It's not like a challenge so much as what's the difference there for you?
Well, we can actually see somebody go walk on water if they can do it.
But the idea, the belief that it happened, like, do you know, because it's
Well,
almost like the belief that America has military installations around the world because we're the good guys.
Yeah,
A lot of people believe that.
it comes down to like I have faith in it, and to me, what the word faith means is that you believe in something that can't be proven, but you have faith that this is the right thing. But that's why I said I'm open to having my mind changed should I be completely wrong. But the reason why I feel this, and this is where people are going to start to think I'm insane, is primarily because of my dreams. And in my dreams, I see other worlds, like worlds that could be Earth but aren't. And in them, I'm me, but I'm not. Like it's a different sense of who I am. Like completely, it's me, but it's not me, but I have a history, I have a background, I know where I am. But
Those
it's not
are
Earth.
just dreams, though. Okay, so what you're saying is, because I've had dreams, and no one can claim you're insane for things that happen while asleep. If you were saying this happened walking around, maybe, but like, those are just dreams. I mean, I've had dreams like that too. So are you insinuating that or that's the wrong word. Are you saying that your faith is based on the fact that what happens in our dreams is the soul's existence independent of ourselves, and we're just somehow getting like a glimpse of it?
I wouldn't say like not all of them.
Because I dream of stuff I would never think of in real life,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm like, that was kind of clever, and sometimes I'm like, that's kind of messed up. Why am I dreaming
like
about that?
I wouldn't say all of them. Like some dreams are just processing information from your day-to-day stuff, but I think sometimes you do get glimpses of places you've been or possible places to go. And it's nice.
Are you talking about transmigration, soul transmigration?
Like reincarnation.
But just the soul, not
Yeah.
you. Just the soul is, because I'm fascinated by that subject. I don't subscribe to it, but I think it's awesome. I mean, I think it's a great idea. It would explain traffic jams for one. Maybe there's just a couple of souls down there trying to connect, and it's blocking up traffic.
Yeah, like in the dreams, I have an understanding that I'm seeing everything in a way that I can understand and interpret it. So I look like me, even though in the dream I might be a different gender. But just
Those
so
are just dreams,
yeah.
I think.
And then sometimes I see somebody who is my mom, but they're a friend. But that's because it was my mom. Whereas sometimes I see somebody who's my mom, but that's not my current mom. It's just to indicate that person is my mom in that my relationship there.
I think that's just a dream,
Mm-hmm.
personally. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
yourself in a dream?
Sometimes.
Oh, because that's apparently really hard to do.
Oh.
I had to train myself to do it.
Huh?
To see
Sometimes
your
it's like
face,
watching a
like
movie.
in a mirror.
Yeah, sometimes it's like watching a movie. But like there's
Okay, so that's different.
yeah, and there's fun little places. Like in one dream I went to, I hiked into the woods and there was this old mill that had been abandoned so many years ago. Like part of the roof had collapsed in, the overgrowth was in there. But there was a feral cat colony there that I like to go visit. And in this world, genetics had developed to such a point that they could change the colors of cats. So they still followed the same, like a calico's 3 colors, you have your tiger stripes and all that sort of stuff. But instead of the colors that we see on cats now, they could be literally any color.
Oh, wow.
And I would
That's
go there,
cool.
and I would go there, and I would just, go visit these cats because I like cats.
So it was a genetic thing that they could do?
Well, it was something that was engineered at first, but then of course it got out into the wild.
But like this was something you could do after the cat had existed or upon its birth?
It was put
Like,
into
I want
so
a
the
purple
birth.
cat.
It was put into the birth. Like they were genetically engineered so that it was part of their genome, so that it could spread into the wild, and that's why there's this feral cat colony. And now most cats can just have random colors.
It's kind of trippy.
Yeah, well, it was really nice. I liked it in there. It was a very calm place to be.
So how's that tie into your faith? In
Because
this theory.
it feels like
It's-
that's a place I've been to.
Hmm.
Like that was
Vivid.
a lot of my dreams are very vivid. And some of the neat things is sometimes I will see a TV show or hear a song that I used to like, and I can bring back part of it into this world. And
Okay, something that only existed in the dream.
Mhm.
So like you're walking around with the song in your head and you're like, where did I hear that? Oh yeah, it only existed in my dream.
I checked.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's pretty wild.
I
Because you don't
checked.
write music, right? Like,
It's not really been a thing of mine. I checked, and the most recent one, and I really like it. That's why I would remember it. I checked. I don't think it's a song in this world, but it's so hard to say.
can
Like
you-
it might be.
can you sing it for us?
Sure, I can sing.
So how's I mean, can at least hum it or whistle it. How's it go?
I'm tired of all these lies. I wanna hear the goddamn truth. This should come as no surprise. It's over no matter what you do.
Okay, somebody soundhound that right now. Back it up a little bit, soundhound it, and see if that's a thing.
Like I tried
'Cause-
Googling those words and I didn't find it. Let's put it that way. But
Yeah,
then
it's
there
cool.
was there
I
was
mean, it could be an ABBA
Yeah.
song, but I don't recall it.
well, it was more musical style, like an Andrew Lloyd Webber type thing.
I've had deals where like I'll hear a Madonna song on the radio, and I was never like a huge fan of Madonna, and I know all the words because it's been 40 years nonstop playing that song everywhere you go, everything you turn on, and eventually you learn the song whether you meant to or not.
Yeah.
I think that's a trip.
Yeah.
Did anyone soundhound that? That's pretty good singing. You know, my mom was a soloist.
Mm-hmm. I sing.
I mean, I
Yeah.
sing.
And there was another song.
Nobody wants to hear it.
There was another song that I heard the chorus of a long time ago, and the interesting thing about this one was I was watching the music video to it, and it was actually Adele.
Okay, hold on. Are we in the dream now or
Yeah,
what?
it was in a
Where-
dream.
Okay, so there's a whole music video because
I
like,
saw a
how
music
much
video.
of it can you remember?
Well,
You
that's
know,
the thing. I
like,
don't remember much, but I remember.
see,
So she's
Just a
sitting
dream.
in like a very plain 70s style kitchen with like just a basic table with like the thin metal legs type thing. But she has like a green fascinator on, and she looks pretty dolled
A
up.
what?
A fascinator is a type of hat thing.
Was that French?
I don't think so. It can
A
have like feathers.
fascinator?
Yeah, it can have like feathers and stuff in it.
Well, like at horse races?
Think flapper girls.
Okay.
The things in their hair with the feathers and stuff. And
I didn't know it was called that. So
yeah,
it's called Fascinator because it fastens.
something like that. I don't know.
That's funny.
And
Cool.
she's sitting in a kitchen with like a very yellowish type lighting, very plain like 70s looking kitchen. But she's all dolled up with this, and she's singing the song as part of the video, and it's and all the little boys don't know what they like, so they play with your heart and they play with your mind. And
That
all
sounds
the
familiar.
little boys don't know what it's like, so they play with your heart and they play with your mind. And it's just, I found that interesting.
That sounds more familiar. Somebody,
Yeah.
is anyone sound
That could be a
this?
song.
I'm really,
I found that song kind of interesting because of that little switch from they don't know what they like to they don't know what it's like.
yeah,
So
good segue.
yeah,
I don't know if that's the right word. Change up.
but yeah, it's like I've seen so many places that I have a history in,
Well,
and I know people.
Forget who it was. I can't remember what community or belief system has this concept that the dream world is when you're awake and the sleeping world is real. Like right now we're dreaming, and when what we call as dreaming is actually being awake. And if that's the first time somebody ever hit me with that concept, I thought to myself, well, that's annoying because that's really confusing. And why, you know what I mean? Like, why am I working 9 to 5 in the dream world? It's ridiculous, right? Like,
Yeah.
why do we put ourselves through having to get oil changes in our cars and everything if this isn't real? Why are we putting ourselves, why do 400 people have all the wealth and 150 million don't? I don't understand. You know what I mean? It's like, this is all BS.
Well, in these dreams, I tend to go to places that I felt the most comfortable. And they were usually around studying, like school and stuff. Like I'd be coming home from school or stuff. Like there was this one dream where I was on a ferry and it was dark out but foggy. And we were approaching the dock. And the skyline was like New York, but 3 times as high. And I walk in and I take an elevator up to a different level where there's trolleys that connect them. So there are cars that can fly, but that's a luxury. You know, the average person doesn't get that. And so you're in these trolleys that connect to these buildings that are just the size of a block. And when you step off the trolley and into the building, there is like a bit of a gap, but a fear of heights in that environment is just non-existent because you'd be hundreds of feet up, but you think nothing of it as you step over this little gap or as you're hanging in this trolley. And I walked in the building, and the apartment I went into had no windows because windows are a luxury. And the apartment was L-shaped. So I came in and it was like an L-shaped, the bed, the kind of living area, and a kitchen and bathroom there. And I even had something that looked like a cat as a pet. And I was coming home from studying from college.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like there's just so much detail in these dreams, and just it's the sense of self in it. Oh, there's one that you would like. It's
Hit me, because this is what I always come back to. Like, because people have been talking a lot about, you know, supernatural stuff and the existence of extraterrestrials and all that. And what I keep coming back to is, let's say all that's real. Let's say magic is real, right? Let's say it's all real. Do we have to keep our BS 9 to 5 jobs? Do we all have to keep paying taxes so that all our money goes to funding war? Does any of that stuff change? Do any of our lives improve? Is there greater equity? Is there greater equality? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there still slavery in the world? because then none of that matters. It might be neat, but it's something that the rich can continue to exploit. Otherwise, maybe I'm just too boring and practical, but I really need that stuff to make a difference, or else I don't need it. You know?
Yeah.
What is that, do you think? Am I just a curmudgeon? What's the deal? What's my deal?
This world is a mess. Like, it's just...
That's what I'm saying. Like, give me something cool. Like, aliens are going to come here and not change things for the better? It's like all those science fiction where the aliens come to Earth and get Earth jobs. I'm really sorry you guys came here. That is lame. And your planet must be horrible.
Well, the thing about aliens is, do they exist? Yes, of course. But...
Oh, really?
Would they exist in a way that we could even understand it? No.
Yeah, like it's just plant life?
Well, we keep on putting human motivations onto them, projecting our intents and purposes and stuff, whereas they would have none of that because they're not human. So it would be impossible for us to try to understand why they would come here, because they could come here for something that we simply are unable to think of.
Yeah.
And then even trying to breach the language barrier, there could be people here right now that have been trying to communicate with us for the past 50 years, but their way of communicating is so different than ours that you wouldn't even know. Like, we might not even understand what we're seeing when we see them.
Nope. Aliens need to come here, make it obvious, do some changes, improve things, or get out. If you're here just for 50 years waiting for humans to get it, and you don't realize yet that humans just don't get it, see ya.
Again, you're just projecting your own human...
That's what I'm saying. Like, come down here and change my mind. Change things for the, like, let's see some real improvements. Why are we all still going to our jobs? Why do some people have, like, 6 jobs? Right?
Yeah.
It's like I like the concept where extraterrestrials show up, go, hey, here's warp drive. Everything's going to be streamlined from here. That seems totally unrealistic, but that's what I'm looking for. At least something. Or like in that movie, The Arrival, where they give you a new form of language that helps you bridge gaps in time so that you can avoid dire consequences from poor decisions and war and destruction and global destruction. You know what I mean? Otherwise, help us save the planet. Do something positive. If aliens are here and they're waiting for us to figure it out, that's annoying. At the very
well, they might not be waiting. They might not be waiting.
Because as soon as somebody goes, oh, I figured it out, the aliens have been here trying to tell us all this time, we just didn't hear it, I'm going to be like, I don't care. That's annoying.
Yeah. No, it's just we can't project our own human intents onto them because they're not human. And depending on where they're from, like there's no way for us to be able to comprehend what they would want. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, if a dog could talk or if a lion could talk, what would they say? But it's like, you don't actually know what they would say because they're not human. We constantly project, our own thoughts and feelings. Like, yes, Frodo loves me. My cat Frodo, he loves me. But there's no way of knowing, like, if he could talk, what he would say or anything of that sort. Because
you don't think your cat understands you?
I think he does, but he responds in a way that he understands me, but it doesn't mean that he knows.
I mean, they say that talking to plants helps. They say talking to people in comas helps, right? I don't need everything to talk back. I think the sounds you make are sometimes enough, right? Tone, it's obvious. I think if there's such a thing as an aura, then your tone affects your aura, and I think that's, you can kind of see it coming. And I think if cats are more in tune to things, like they say cats can detect earthquakes days in advance, right? Why haven't we tapped into that technology, by the way? But if there's any truth to that sort of extrasensory power, then they can perceive things differently than language or the way that we think we need words and letters and sentences. Cats are like, you guys are wasting your time. Just it's all about intention, vibes.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, that's...
I admit I have a hard time taking it serious, but I don't know.
Yeah, like, that's that's my faith, like, in a nutshell. I have so many dreams, like so many dreams that I could tell you about. Some that you would find, I'm sure, like super interesting. Like this needs to be some sort of comic book or something. Like the
Well, I
one,
think that about everything.
yeah.
You're totally right, and I do
Well,
like that your faith is based in the dream world.
there's
I mean, because that's really interesting. What's going on there?
yeah.
What are dreams?
Well, there's this one dream that I was going to tell you about that I think you would really enjoy. And so I'm in this world where there was some sort of disease outbreak that kind of, I wouldn't call them zombies, but it did cause people to kind of go insane, like a rabies almost. And they were,
Zombies.
yeah, they would go into like, they tended to stay in dark places a lot and stuff of that sort. And so I'm walking home.
So
and,
stoner. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm walking home from school, and it's about 5 years after everything kind of got under control. And where I lived, it was like an apartment complex. So you had the different buildings kind of spread out, but we didn't have sidewalks. They were dirt paths that you would walk on to get to your building. And I was walking past one of the buildings, and I saw one of the basement outdoors that you see on buildings. There's just the flat door that you open from the inside type thing. But they had all been welded shut because there is the entire population is struggling with PTSD. And so I get into my building, and they had retrofitted buildings with glass elevators because some of the fear was that you open a door and you can't see what's on the other side. And so you don't know, and a lot of people be afraid that you open the door and there's one of these things. And I looked at the elevator and I'm like, nah. And I took the stairs because I was still super scared that what if I hit up but somehow it went down? Because a fear of basements was a huge thing at this point.
Sure.
And so then I get up to my floor and I go to my apartment, and again, all the doors have also been retrofitted so that they're frosty colored glass, and you can actually turn the light on from the outside so that you can see a silhouette if there's anything just standing on the other side of the door.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
Those exist.
Yeah, I know they exist, and in this dream, all the doors have been replaced with this.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, all the doors have been replaced with this so that you could turn the light on from the outside to see if there's anything kind of lurking for you right behind the door.
I thought you were telling me something you thought. It's like, oh, I had a dream, and there were these things called cars.
Yeah.
And they
No,
have four wheels, and
there's
you put tires
most
on
dreams-
them. It's like, hey, Sandee.
Cars, trains, malls are very common.
Yeah.
But no, like all the doors have been retrofitted like this so that you
Okay.
could actually see if there's something waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah. That's interesting. I do, and like I said, too much of a smartass. I get it, but I like that it's based in the dream world or the dreamscape because it, for as quick and fleeting as dreams may seem, it is vast. And it's just our own inability to recall them. And it's funny because when you're under hypnosis, you can recall them perfectly, right? So they're still there. It's a real thing. And that's why I say it's a vast, if I use the term scape or universe for lack of a better term, but it seems like an endless realm of possibilities. Do you know what I mean? And I think that that's something worth exploring. And people who have explored it still don't have anything concrete, not as far as I've heard. And so I think that's really interesting. I think that if we're gonna, develop a faith or some sort of belief system or some sort of scriptures around that, why not do it with something that's already intriguing to everyone? And that would be dreams. I think that makes a lot of, I think logically that makes a lot of sense.
Well, for me, it's what I have faith in because of how I feel in these dreams and how it affects me in this world. And again, it could be proven that, no, these are just dreams. It's just a wild imagination, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And so be it if that's the case and there's scientific proof of that. But, until then, this is where I'm drawn to. That you have multiple lives, but they're not restricted to Earth. Like, you can be on Earth, but it's not restricted. Different places. And so you don't travel back in time, per se. But you can travel to other worlds that look like they could be an Earth, but they develop differently. Like they had a cultural difference in development and stuff. And yeah, some of the things I've seen in these, it's wild. So many stories of places. And then there's other places that I just go to where I haven't lived there. It's almost like I'm checking out real estate for the next life. Like I'm just kind of there as a floating, like not as even a form. I'm just there looking around.
How about all the dreams of stuff that are from this world, though? Like, I had a dream that I was in a room where there was all these, like, half-eaten candy bars. And I get really frustrated because, like, when I eat a candy bar, I open it and I eat the whole thing. My wife will, like, takes days to finish it. And I'm like, I'm going to finish this for you. I'll buy you a new one, right? Like, we can't have part of a candy bar just sitting in the fridge. Like, it's too tempting, right? So I had a dream that I was just eating all this partially eaten candy. Makes total sense. But I was a cop in the dream. What am I, the candy bar police? Like, this is ridiculous, right? This is just me being an idiot in real life and in my dreams, right?